Happy Memorial Day, everyone. Hope that you had a great weekend here in Austin, Texas. It is approximately 1,000,000 degrees outside, so this Memorial Day, I just stayed on the bike in the garage. But nonetheless, it is 9 p.m. Eastern. You know what that means? That means we are getting in a fantasy football draft, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be hopping in Best Ball Mania. It's freaking crazy. I think Underdog is probably going to keep on going through and introducing new tournaments until we get to the start of the season. So hopefully this slows down, but there are already 91,000 entrants. So it's nuts, but it looks like Best Ball Mania is filling incredibly fast. So we better start getting in our drafts while we still can. We joined 5 spots open. Anybody who wants to get in with us. And thank you again, everyone. Really, really do appreciate you stick it. Okay. Pick 8. Let's run through it. Thank God you did not give me pick 9. Thank God you did not give me pick 10. I would have been much happier with a top 5, top 6 pick. But pick 8, it's super simple. Okay. I'm going to let the draft room give us what they want. I'll take CMC. I'll take Lamb. I'll take Tyreek. I'll take Chase. Hell, I wouldn't cry about Jefferson. I'd be okay with the Amon-Ra St. Brown. Worst case scenario, we go Bijan or Breece Hall, and we will figure this out. But just thank you for not giving me pick 9. I've been getting pick 9 and pick 10 every single time, and my teams just look like an absolute train wreck. Maybe you can give a good drafter pick 9, and they can come out with something decent, but I'm already coming out from a hole being as bad at drafting as I am. So we need every advantage we can get, and a top 8 pick, I think, is going to help us out with that. But thank you for everybody hanging out with us. Appreciate you. And like I said, hope that you had a great Memorial Day weekend, and hopefully it was not as hot where you are as it was in Austin. But we got Kadarius Toney in here at pick 4. Happy to see you, my friend. Zoomer says, was in Austin for the weekend. Beautiful city. I hope you liked it, my friend. We wish you would have let me known earlier. Could have given some recommendations, but yeah, it was very hot, very tough. Garrett at pick 9 right next to us. Thank you for jumping on the grenade for us here, my friend. Thank you for making sure I did not get pick 9. Jeep guy, happy to see it, my friends. Jalen Hurts going to 54, of course, is at least crazy in my mind. I would have taken him way before then. Yes, this is a Best Ball Mania draft, ladies and gentlemen. And let's get this going. Okay. No big surprises out the gate. Maybe you make the argument that seeing Chase go before Tyreek's a big surprise. In reality, I mean, you're just going to see these wide receivers kind of go in whatever order, but it is going to be that top group. So no big surprises. We're just going to get whoever falls between Bijan and Breece Hall. Turns out to be Breece Hall in this draft. We'll take him. And then once we go Breece Hall here at 8, I mean, we actually have a video coming out tomorrow morning, which dives into all the math that we have seen in these underdog drafts over the past 3 years and the optimal running back strategy that you should have. And what we have seen is you can have a ton of success going running back in round 1. But the rule is when you go running back in round 1, you need 5 wide receivers through the first 8 rounds. It's something that I have a difficult time keeping the discipline and just sticking to the script and taking who we know we should. But we did the research, we made the video, and I'm going to make y'all hold me to it. If we decide to go running back round 1, we need 5 wide receivers through the first 8 rounds. Now we're on the clock. To be honest with you, I have no idea who to go with here. It's a massive tier at wide receiver. I think you can make an argument for pretty much any one of these guys. Knowing where Breece Hall typically goes in these drafts, it kind of makes me want to go through and reach a little bit on a player and just to get a little bit of a unique combo here. So we will reach on Deebo Samuel. Do I think Deebo Samuel's better than Ayuk? Do I think he's better than Olave? Do I think he's better than Adams? Do I think he's better than Nico? Do I think he's better than Mike Evans? I have no freaking idea. I think they're all about the same. If I had to go through and rank him, I'd throw him in the same tier, say that the expected range of outcomes is about similar across the board with all these players. So whenever I know that there are going to be a ton of teams in Best Ball Mania that possibly have Breece Hall, Olave, Breece Hall, Adams, Breece Hall, Brandon Ayuk, I will go through. I'm going to reach just a bit to get hopefully a combo that's going to be a little bit lower ownership. But of course, in Best Ball Mania, you're going to see the ADP change so much through the course of the entire summer that this matters significantly less. I just have no idea what to do here in round 2. And we made an entire video saying I had no idea what to do in round 2. Okay. But let's move this over. Anthony saying, what is the code for Underdog? I want to try today for the first time. I don't know if you are trolling me, my friend, but I'm happy to play along here. I'm sure you've heard me say a million times by now, but just in case you haven't, if you want to hop in an Underdog draft with us, we do this every single night on the live stream. It's best ball, so no time commitment at all during the year. It's how I've drafted hundreds of teams every offseason for years and years and years. It's how we won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And if you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with code FLOCK, with the link in the description, comment section, or live chat, you're going to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. Plus, you are going to get my 2024 fantasy football rankings. Plus, you are going to be getting a special NBA pick'em, something like Luka Doncic, more than less than half a total point, just depending on whatever day that you sign up. And Underdog is available in damn near every state, ladies and gentlemen. I have no idea what that was about, but yeah, Underdog is available everywhere, even available in Michigan. We're going to update that map for y'all one of these days, but until then, I'll continue to be lazy and not do it. Okay. But after we go Debo, you have the run on wide receivers. You have Laporta going at 23. There's not a ton to talk about. Derrick Henry at 26 isn't a super common selection. I'm happy to see Henry go. Typically, we are going to be trying to go wide receiver with our next pick, considering the fact that we decided to take Breece Hall round 1. And like we said, the historical data says if you go running back round 1, you can have a ton of success in doing so, but you need to be slamming wide receivers after. Typically, we are wanting to see 5 wide receivers through the first 8 rounds, and preferably, we are still wanting an elite level quarterback and an elite tight end if we can get them. Yes, Underdog is available in Michigan now, my friend. I know the map isn't updated, but it's been available in Michigan for like 2 weeks now. We just need to update the map for y'all. Okay. Let's move this. John says, do you think grabbing an elite tight end is the best thing early on in the draft? Depends at cost. I mean, y'all know I was drafting a ton of Sam Laporta whenever he was going like mid to late round 3. So cost definitely matters. Cup, Flowers both off the board here, which is very interesting. I'm not going to talk too much. We'll see what J-Gut decides to do as Bijan, Chris Olave. They go Stephon Diggs. Will this be the first time we take Malik Neighbors? I think this is going to be the first time we take Malik Neighbors here, ladies and gentlemen. I have a lot of Devonta Smith. I typically have been drafting Smith in this range. Used to be able to get him at the 3-4 turn, where Neighbors was exclusively going at the 2-3 turn. We'll take Malik Neighbors here. I think it's our first time doing so, but we already have a lot of Devonta Smith. Russell says, do you participate in the weekly winners drafts? I'll mix in a few. Just be completely honest with you. I've had, I would argue, almost more success than anybody in the typical standard Underdog format. 16th place in Best Ball Mania 2 years ago. We've won multiple tournaments on Underdog. We're up 6 figures on Underdog Fantasy. And where we've had all that success is the regular structured Underdog tournaments, like Best Ball Mania, like the Puppy, like the vast majority of Underdog leagues. Last year, we said it as soon as weekly winners dropped. Sounded like a very fun game. I knew I was out of my depth. I knew I had no idea what the hell was going on, and I was just donating, getting crushed. And yeah, I did not win anything in weekly winners last year. And then same thing if you're looking at the Eliminator draft. I think we're going to have, at least I think I have a little more hope with the Eliminator draft than I do weekly winners. But yeah, I know at least I want to believe, I want to trick myself into thinking that I'm good at these drafts, where I'm not really going to be able to trick myself at all that I am good at weekly winners. I'll mix it in, do some for fun, but I definitely prefer the standard Underdog drafts. But we have Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts going off the board 38-39. Now, if we're looking at what we can do, like we said, 5 wide receivers to the first 8 rounds once we go running back round 1. Plus, typically, if we can, we want the elite tight end, the elite quarterback. So I think we're looking at Kelce, Higgins, or Lamar. Kelce goes. I'm going to take T. Higgins. We've drafted a lot of Lamar Jackson round 4. Higgins, I think we're probably reaching on a bit just to fit the roster construction and give us a little more flexibility later on in the draft. I have way more Lamar than we have Higgins so far. If we would have gone wide receiver round 1, say instead of getting Breece Hall, we got Justin Jefferson, there I would have for sure decided to go Josh Jacobs or Lamar Jackson. Most likely Lamar Jackson over T. Higgins. But when we go with the Hero RB build out the gate, I do think more likely than not we need to be slamming the wide receivers while we still can. Like we said, the historical data says if you go running back round 1, your rates, you can crush. Obviously, Breece Hall needs to go out there and be a top 3 running back in fantasy. But at the same time, we need to get our 5 wide receivers through the first 8 rounds. And to be honest with you, I don't think Higgins over Pickens is wild at all. I think that the T. Higgins hate's honestly gone a little bit too far. If you want to compare T. Higgins to the other players at other positions, such as like Higgins versus Lamar, Higgins versus Mahomes, 100%, I think you can make a strong argument for the elite level quarterback. I think you can make a strong argument for Jacobs here. But I would say that T. Higgins, in comparison to the other receivers in this range, in Pickens, Amari, and Christian Kirk, I think that Higgins is appropriately priced, and I actually do like Higgins in comparison to the receivers. If you want to make the argument for the quarterbacks or running backs there, I'm not going to fault you at all for making that argument. Now, Kevin says, I have pick 6 in a PPR redraft league. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, 2 flexes. Struggling between going Breece Bijan or Amon-Ra Jefferson, depending on who falls. Which is optimal? Okay. I think a lot of it's going to come down to what you're expecting in your own league with your league mates if you've been with them for years. Because if I'm drafting in a vacuum, if I'm in an underdog tournament, I'm for sure taking Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson over the running backs. But at the same time, I know in a ton of your typical redraft leagues, you are going to get some just massive wide receiver values in the middle rounds. You're going to be getting wide receivers like George Pickens in round 7. So if you expect that to be your league where it's more so just like a casual redraft format with your buddies, there, honestly, I wouldn't mind you at all going with an elite level RB in round 1. So yeah, if it was a single flex format, I'd for sure say go with the running back. With it being a double flex format, though, I do think it's kind of up to you. Arnav says, about to use code FLOCK right now. Been hearing that promo. Are you freaking kidding me, my friend? You've been hearing me say it for years and you have not hopped on. Oh, okay. Are you from Michigan? Okay, that makes sense, my friend. I was about to say, you've been watching the channel for years and you couldn't throw $10 on Underdog with code FLOCK to support your boy, but if you were in Michigan, wait until now. I understand. Appreciate you, my friend. Okay. I got you, my guy. All right, so James Cook goes off the board 52. So let's swing this back around. You're getting a little bit of a discount on the Texans in this draft. I mean, I wanted to point out that the team right before us got Diggs at 31. I mean, if Diggs would have made it to us in round 3, I would have been freaking pumped. I would have definitely preferred Diggs over Neighbors. Andrews off the board 54. I think we're going to continue to go wide receiver. We're going to take Keenan. We haven't drafted a lot of Keenan now, and I don't expect to draft that much Keenan. But we want 5 wide receivers through the first 8 rounds, as we already mentioned. If we are looking at the quarterback in play, it would be Anthony Richardson. I think I would probably rather grab Burrow in round 7 if that's an option over Anthony Richardson here. And there is that outside chance that Richardson makes it back around to us if you are looking at a couple different factors. One being that the Michael Pittman Jr. team has Josh Allen, so I don't know how inclined they are to go with Anthony Richardson. And 2, that there's the other team here with Jalen Hurts. So I think maybe we're only having to worry about the team at 9 or the team at 12. possibly taking Richardson. But yeah, the team at 12 does go Anthony Richardson. I would have for sure taken Anthony Richardson if he would have made it back around to us in round 6. Dylan, yeah, I'll go through and I'll make a video talking about like ESPN values and stuff once we get closer to the season. The thing is, in May, in early June, at least in my mind, there is nobody and there should be nobody drafting a team on ESPN. Like if you're in an ESPN redraft league with your buddies, for the love of God, do not be hosting your draft May 27th or anytime soon. Okay. So let's swing this back around. So because we've gone with the wide receivers in the middle rounds, I do think it gives us the optionality to go running back here if we wanted. The receiver that I would be most interested in with this tier of guys would be Jordan Addison. We also could go Kittle, pair him up with Deebo Samuel, and get access to a tight end that has some spike week upside. I mean, Kenneth Walker goes. So what we're probably actually going to do is we're going to take Joe Mixon. Mixon, our second running back. I haven't taken a lot of Mixon either, but here he falls about 6 picks past ADP. I don't think there are going to be a ton of teams that have the combo of Keenan and Mixon. And specifically because we go with the 4 wide receivers where we did, I do think that we have a little bit of optionality and that we can pull the trigger on another running back here at pick 65 if we really wanted. If, say, Mixon would have gone where Calvin Ridley went or Mixon would have gone where Rome went, instead, I think we would have really considered going with either George Kittle or Jordan Addison. But yeah, we'll go ahead and pull the trigger on Mixon. I mean, he has a 3-down profile, not much competition in Houston, and a very good offense. More likely than not, based off what Cincinnati did to him, based off what we have seen. I don't think Mixon's that good at this point of his NFL career. I mean, obviously, in his prime, Mixon was phenomenal. But he was in that 2017 class, the same class that's already had Dalvin get washed out of the league, Leonard Fournette get washed out of the league, Austin Eckler going rounds behind this. Leonard Fournette, if we already didn't mention that, but let's go ahead and let's move this on. Okay. Kadarius says, I'm drafting myself round 18 after getting my homie. Let's see it, my friend. Let's see it. Okay. So we have Montgomery off the board, 71. Kittle does go 68 to the Brandon Ayuk team, which does make some sense here. So you have the team at 1 deciding to go with the Jacksonville Onslaught. They have Kirk, Brian Thomas, and Evan Ingram. So you should expect that team to be targeting Lawrence a little later on. So that goes. The concern that we would have here is the Chase team deciding to take Burrow. But the question is, can they take Burrow when they only have 2 receivers through the first 6 rounds? Don't know if you can get away with only taking 2 receivers through the first 7. So I think that there is a decent shot that they're going to pass on Burrow and we actually get Burrow here late round 7. Let's see. What are they doing? They go Joe Burrow to only have 2 receivers through the first 7 rounds. That's going to open us up to most likely. I don't want to say too much here. I don't want to say too much. Let's see what happens to the rest of this. Idatain goes Kyler. I would have gone Kyler if you would have made it to us at 80, to be honest with you. I mean, if you're looking at Kyler, one of the few quarterbacks that, 1, you have some stacking options later on with secondary receivers. And 2, you have a ton of, I don't want to say a ton, but you do have rushing upside where you could see the spike come from rushing touchdowns. Christian Watson going 78. A little interesting to see that. That's a team that has the Lamar, Andrews, and Zay Flowers double stack. Really interesting build there. Ladd goes. So now we're in a spot where I just have absolutely no idea what to do. I think we're probably going to go ahead, pull the trigger on our last receiver here. We will go Jackson Smith and Jigba. Looks like we whiffed on what we are looking at quarterback, which has been a trend for us, specifically when we're in this range of the draft. So when we're drafting here in round 7, we definitely need to be considering quarterback targets that we can potentially have a little bit later on. Going JSN does complete a couple different things. 1, we get our 5th receiver through the first 8 rounds on a hero RB build. And 2, it does give us another potential stacking option whenever we whiffed on the Higgins-Burrow pairing. But we still potentially can go Brock Purdy with Debo. We can still potentially go Caleb Williams with Keenan. So it's not like we're completely down and out at quarterback. For the love of God, let's not make this another Bryce Young team, but we will. Yeah, I don't even want to mention Bryce Young. For the love of God, let's all act like we don't even know who Bryce Young is. So the question is, would we get... Okay, let's think about this. The DJ Moore team has Mahomes, so I don't know how likely they are going to be to take Caleb. The team with Rome is on the other side of us. So I think that there is a shot that we are going to get Caleb 104. And with that chance, I think we're probably looking at Swift here to go through and make one concentrated bet on this Chicago Bears offense. Pair up Swift with Keenan, go Caleb in the next round. But the team that we'd have to worry about going Caleb is going to be the team that took Mahomes. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. Igor says we have Caleb, maybe aim Geno around 17. Yeah, I mean, that's a big reason we go JSN, is just to give us another option at quarterback. When we have the potential to pull the trigger on Daniel Jones round 18. I actually really like round 18 Daniel Jones. I haven't been able to draft him a ton just because I haven't been drafting neighbors all offseason. But I am fine with the rushing upside that we're going to get there. Okay. Mr. Trey Lance, happy to see you, my friend. Happy to see you. Okay. Yeah, Bryce. I don't even know who we were talking about with Bryce. Okay. Let's see. Connor goes 92. Isaac says, Mason, do I have a permission to make you an updated map? To be completely honest with you, my friend, for me to get an updated map, it would take approximately 10 seconds for me to just email Underdog and say, hey, can I get the updated map? So I would feel bad about having you make it. So I think it would probably take you longer than 10 seconds. So please don't make me the updated map. I will try to not be lazy and remember to do it during the day. The issue is the only time I ever think about it is whenever we're going through and talking about where Underdog's available for the 5 seconds in the live stream. Okay. Rob Bottom says, do you think Caleb will actually be good? OTAs haven't been great. I could not care less about OTAs. I think Caleb is stepping into a situation. I've said this all offseason. I said this well before Justin Fields was traded when people were trying to tell me Fields was still going to be the starter there. Caleb was obviously always going 1 to Chicago. Plus, it is, before they even took Rome, it is a phenomenal situation for a QB who goes pick 1 overall to go into. You have a well-constructed team there in comparison to the average team that usually has the number 1 overall pick. A big reason why you see quarterbacks consistently fail, they go at the very top of the NFL draft, is a lot of times the reason that team's at the very top of the NFL draft is because they have an absolutely garbage roster. But I don't think that's the case here with Caleb. It's a very unique situation where the reason that team is at the top is because they get the pick from Carolina. So I think Caleb's quarterback who has rushing upside. I think he's stepping into a much better situation than what you typically see with number 1 overall quarterbacks. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm smart enough to know what quarterback that goes 1 overall is going to have success versus which one isn't. Okay, so the Mahomes team decides to go Rashee Rice, pick 100. Not going to fault them at all for doing that. So now that they go with Rashee Rice, pick 100, I think more likely than not, we are going to get Caleb here for the double stack with DeAndre Swift and Keenan Allen. Because like we said, the Rome team's behind us. The team that has Rome as well, they have Allen, but they only have 1 quarterback, so we cannot get cute. We can't sit here and go, okay, let's pass on Caleb and see if we can get him around 10. We're for sure taking Caleb here. And also the thing is with Caleb's rushing upside, you could potentially see a team taking him even unstacked. I mean, this isn't a Tua situation, so we're going to go ahead. We will take Caleb 104, and I will thank the heavens that we are not sitting here having to take 3 quarterbacks at the very end of the draft and just cry. Okay. Igor says, I remember people panic seeing Jamar in OTAs and training camp. Don't pay attention to it. Remember Ridley's speedy training camp videos? 100%. I mean, to be completely honest with you, I never heard that Caleb was struggling at OTAs. What matters if you are looking at camp is what players are going to make the team, what it looks like the running back usage may be. The last thing that I'm taking away from camp is, okay, the beat reporter says this player looks good and this player looks bad. I think a lot of it's noise and Choose 4 says, new to the channel, how is Underdog different than FFPC? One, I know FFPC had a big-time scandal where I believe, allegedly, I'm not going to sit here and say anything for sure, that one of their employees got caught manually changing things in tournaments last year. So I think, one, Underdog looks to be the most safe place to play in general. 2, I know FFPC Dynasty Leagues charge a 25% rake. At least they used to. Allegedly. Don't listen to me. I really don't want a lawsuit. And 3, I really like the Underdog UI. Underdog has larger contests. Underdog drafts fill quicker. So hopefully that gives some insight. So a couple different things. One, obviously, Bowers falls a considerable amount here. Bowers falls 11 picks past ADP. I think we could go ahead and we could consider him. The issue with taking Bowers is if we take Bowers round 10, I think more likely than not, we're going to end up taking 3 tight ends regardless. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Purdy instead. And, I'm sorry. FFPC, I believe it was NFFC. What was this? What platform had the scandal in their playoff tournament last year, ladies and gentlemen? Please, someone in the live chat, I'm sure, knows what I'm talking about. And I do not want to be throwing dirt on someone's name that doesn't deserve it. But yeah, we're going to go with Brock Purdy. I think that what we get with Purdy is, 1, obviously the Debo stack, and 2, more importantly, it helps the construction of this team, in which I feel safe only taking 2 quarterbacks if those 2 QBs are Caleb and Purdy. Whereas, like I said, I don't necessarily think our construction changes too much with us taking Bowers there instead. Let me go ahead and look this up. I'm sorry, that was the NFFC. The National Fantasy Football Championship disclosed on Wednesday that an employee used internal controls to make advantageous changes to a contestant's roster after games had already kicked off, including swapping in a player who had already scored a touchdown. Yes, it was in FFFC. So, FFPC, good to go. I'm very, very, very sorry for that. That is horrendous. I am so sorry for that. And FFPC, I believe the largest tournaments that they have are not best ball. They are weekly managed. So I know a lot of people really do like FFPC for the weekly managed aspect. And I know a lot of people play Dynasty on FFPC, which you have to cut down to 14 player rosters in the offseason. I've never played on the FFPC from a Dynasty perspective, just because I know they charge 25% rake, which I'm not about, but yes, I mean, I may need a lawyer. Okay. And FFPC is tight end premium as well. So you're going to get 1.5 points per reception for the tight end position. Okay, so we are not taking quarterback through the rest of this draft. We are running back, wide receiver, tight end. Wouldn't be surprised if the team before us goes Dalton Schultz, considering the fact that they have Stroud on their roster. We are going to go ahead. We'll take Myers. I actually drafted a considerable amount of Myers last year. Kind of got lucky with some positive touchdown variance, especially if you look at the fact that this is someone that just didn't score touchdowns at all in New England. No idea if the offense is going to be good. I mean, maybe we say, oh, okay, what's going to happen if Devontae Adams gets traded? Probably not happening, but we'll go ahead and we'll pull the trigger anyway. Pi says, FFPC just changes players' positions post-draft. I did not hear about that. I'm assuming that's a Taysom situation. I did not hear about that. Okay. Had an issue with the best ball and flirt over there, switching Hill to a quarterback after draft started last season. Okay. Yeah. I'd be the only player I'd assume it was. I've never done any FFPC best ball tournaments. I have no idea how large their best ball fields are. Be very surprised if they're $15 million prize pools. Okay, so Goff falling a considerable amount here. We clearly can't take Goff. I don't feel bad about taking Purdy because we wouldn't have taken Goff regardless. So we're going to be back up on the clock, 137. I know plan A and plan B. So obviously, I think most people will be screaming Mason, take Cole Kmet, take Cole Kmet. You have Caleb Williams. You have Keenan Allen. You have DeAndre Swift. We're going all in on Chicago. I completely understand that thought process and completely understand. Honestly, we probably should go Kmet. My only thing is, if you look at the team at 3, I have no idea what the hell they're doing. They have Kyron, Achane, Pacheco, Mostert, Eckler. They have 2 wide receivers through the first 11 rounds. So I'd be a little bit concerned that maybe this team's going to be throwing off the entire draft board. And if we pass on Charbonnet, we may get boxed out of the running back position, which probably is not something that we should be making a decision on. Probably we are overthinking it. And more likely than not, we should just go ahead and make the correct decision and take Cole Kmet here. But I don't know. We're going to take Charbonnet. A lot of this has to do with I just like Zach Charbonnet a ton, and I'm trying to come up with any excuse I can get to draft him. Okay, so let's move this down. The team after us goes Justin Herbert. That team at 140 gets Goff here. Is that the St. Brown builds? Yeah, Monroe St. Brown pick 5. Goes Kyler at 77 and gets Jared Goff all the way down here at 140. I mean, really strong Goff value. Rodgers goes 142. I mean, if I'm looking at Charbonnet, I think Charbonnet has the upside from a best ball perspective to give you usable weeks even without a Kenneth Walker injury. And if Walker were to go down, I think it's in the range of outcomes for Charbonnet to be a top 10 back. So I really like him. I don't really think it matters too much that we took JSN. You can maybe make an argument, oh, okay, week 16, Seattle has a blow-up game. Geno has 350 passing yards. A lot of it goes through JSN and Charbonnet. You can try to make that argument. Probably doesn't matter, but and Kmet looks like he's falling anyway. I mean, if we get Kmet on the way back around for the Caleb builds, obviously that is very exciting. And for the love of God, someone take Xavier Legette so I do not have another Panther. Sticky Ricky would be a nice play as well. Pair it with Purdy. Get the double stack with Debo. Miller's an okay value. I mean, I'd be fine to take Miller. The thing is, we go another running back. Obviously, we're done drafting RBs. So typically, I don't want to put ourselves in that position where we're no longer able to take the value that would potentially fall. That team at 3 has a red badge. And they have 2 receivers through the first 13 rounds. No idea what's going on there. Okay, now I think we're looking at Sticky Ricky to get the combo with Purdy and Debo. Sticky Ricky off the board, pick 150. I'm not a big Jalen Wright guy, to be completely honest with you. I'm not a big Ty Chandler guy either. Okay, it looks like on the way back around, we'll have a ton of running backs that are available to us. The receivers may be a little bit limited. Ben Sinnott, I think, really goes here a ton just primarily because this is where the Jaden Daniels team typically is on this side of the board. We're going to go Ben Sinnott just because I do expect that. I mean, if we're going to be comparing him to the other receivers, I don't want to be going with a running back here just because I really think we're going to get a strong running back in round 14 regardless, and we can only take one more. But because of that team at pick 3 that only has 2 receivers in Jamar Chase and Keon Coleman, I do think in general we may get some wide receivers falling in this draft. So we'll see. You go Germaine and pair him up with Higgins. Say, okay, what happens if you get an injury to Chase? Chase goes down, and then all of a sudden, I mean, you have everything funneled through those 2 receivers. I'm not going to be taking Roman Wilson very often at this ADP. I'm not going to be taking Troy Franklin very often here either. Yes, that was NFFC, not FFPC. We made that correction. I'm very sorry for making a mistake in the first place. Isaac, love the hat, my guy. Isaac just turned it into an ultimate chat here. Let's move this over. So we have a run on running backs here at the very end of round 13. As soon as we say, oh, I think we're going to get a running back on the way back around, we have 4 guys immediately go. So clearly I have no idea what we're doing. What's going on here? I think we do go Germaine if he makes it to us. Pair him up with Higgins. Franklin goes 159. Bad offense. Day 3 receiver. Gibson goes 160. I know a lot of people are in on Ray Davis given the touchdown upside that you may have in Buffalo. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Germaine. We have Higgins here. We get him 9 picks past ADP. I haven't drafted a lot of them, so we'll go ahead and mix them in. And so now, running back, we are sitting with Breece Hall, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, Zach Charbonnet. Wide receiver, we have Debo, Malik Neighbors, T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jacoby Myers, Germaine. Quarterback, we have Caleb, Purdy. We have Caleb stacked up with Keenan, DeAndre Swift. We have Purdy stacked up with Debo. We have Sinnott at tight ends. And yeah, I mean, we have an okay team. I don't want to sit here and act like it's a phenomenal build, but we did a pretty good job of getting what the board gave us. And most importantly, and when I say this, I mean most importantly, we are not having to rely on the Carolina Panthers to pull this team through. So that is something. That is something. It does look like Team 3 is throwing, which Garrett says his team's better. Okay, if you drafted a better team at 9, my friend, I'm going to have to take some notes. So we got Puka, Barkley, Smith, Kelce. I'm pissed that you took Kelce from us, my friend. I like the Walker pick. 81, we go Hopkins, Samir, 88. Lockett, Mike Williams, Judy, Stafford to pair up with Puka. I'm not going to lie. I like my team more than yours. I don't think it's a bad team, but I like mine more. Okay. Ooh. Team 3 just solves their issue. Yes, maybe their only receivers going at around 14 were Jamar Chase and Keon Coleman. But their third receiver being Malachi Corley, they know something we don't. They know something we don't. Ronald says, FFPC, weekly management, 2 receivers, 2 flex, tight end premium, plus kickers and defenses. Okay. A much better summary of the difference versus what I gave. That's the difference, my friend. HBK says, what do you not like about Troy Franklin? He is a wide receiver in a bad offense that was drafted on day 3. I would way rather go Cortland Sutton at his ADP versus Troy Franklin at his. Okay, Juwan Johnson off the board, 170. Okay, here. I'm actually going to take the time and pull this up because I have something concerning that's happening and hoping we have some doctors in the chat that can hook me up and tell me what's going on here. So let's download these pictures. Okay, some backstory here. 2 days ago, I was on the bike for, I want to say, 2.5 hours. And then when I went and ran for 2 hours in Austin, so we biked for 50 miles, then we ran for 2.5. I'm sorry, then we ran for 14 miles. And during the run, it was approximately, my phone said it was like 96 degrees. My car said it was 102. So it was ungodly hot. Very, very bad. We ran on the trail. We are kind of going back and forth between, we're going to go Wandale here, pair them up with neighbors. Actually, let's think. We have 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, we can take another receiver. We're done at wide receiver after this. But we are running back and forth under bushes, blah, blah, blah. Then I went to stretch at the gym after we had a swim. I looked down at my legs and I had these massive rashes. Let's see, will this even pull up? At first I thought it was poison ivy, but now I was going to ignore it, but it just happened again today, which is why I'm bringing it up. I'm thinking maybe it's from heat. Be prepared. Looks gross. We're just going to look at one picture. But this is like on both my legs and on the bottom too. If there's a doctor here, is this from heat? Because I biked for 6 hours today just in the garage. So there's no way in hell I ran across any poison ivy or anything. And my legs got like that all over again. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to pull the trigger on another tight end. We'll take Isaiah Likely. Probably not any good. Probably a wasted pick with Andrews there. But we're going to take him nonetheless. Okay, heat rash, or could there be chiggers in my garage? Stress rash. No, like when it happened today in my garage, I was literally like, I was in the garage, just inside the entire time. The garage is hot. Does not itch at all. It kind of hurts if I rub it against like when I lay down for bed. It'll be like it will get irritated, but not very bad. So I don't think it's worth going to the doctor because it's not like causing me pain or anything. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap off this draft with a running back and a tight end in the last 2 rounds. But looks like we're going to get 300 likes in this live stream at least. Yeah, so it looks like people are saying we are. So let's go ahead and let's hop into another draft here, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be another Best Ball Mania draft. So if you're wanting to hop in, $25 buy-in, $1.5 million for first place. The top 20 places all get anywhere from 6 to 7 figures. So let's go ahead and let's get in here. There were 9 spots open whenever we jumped in. Okay. Thomas trying to tell us it's malaria. Okay. Person says, do you have any allergies? Okay, which this is the funniest thing ever. Y'all know I was dealing with are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? For the love of God, why? Why would you, why do I get pick 9 and pick 10 so freaking much? How? I'm literally going to pull up. How many teams do I have with Puka? Oh, Puka or AJ Brown. I have 20% of my drafts with Puka. What about Brown? Have I drafted AJ Brown? Okay, I haven't even drafted AJ Brown. Dear God. I guess we need to mix in some AJ Brown. I've drafted a lot of Devonta Smith. But, yeah, this freaking sucks. But, anyway. James in here at pick 11. Pack it up in here at 6. Mr. Clean in here at 12. JRV in here at 10. And let's go. Let's go. This is malaria, not malaria. Okay, we're going to look this up, my friend. Malaria is known as heat rash, sweat rash, or prickly heat. Okay, of course we're going to be stuck here with... Ooh, crap. We are on the clock in the other draft. We need to make sure we take someone. Other draft, we will go... We're going to go Greg Dulcich at tight end in the other draft. This one, it looks like we're just going to auto-draft freaking Puka. We'll F it. We'll mix in A.J. Brown. We have 20% Puka, and we haven't drafted any A.J. Brown. I would rather have Puka, but it is what it is. I looked up the picture of malaria. It doesn't look like that. It's not like a bunch of little bumps. Let me look at it right now. It's actually kind of gone right now. That's another thing. It goes away quickly, so I don't really care. Just it's all over my... God dang. It's not like little bumps. Vadim says, Mason just wanted to flash a leg pick. Yes. I wanted the ladies to know how appealing that leg is. That little chicken leg. That's very pale and red and... I wanted to, yes, that's exactly what it was, my friend. I wanted to show everybody how good looking we are by showing them our rash. Hey, ladies, y'all want to see my rash? Okay. Let's move this over. What am I supposed to do? I don't know. We'll mix in Olave with this one. Like I said, and the same thing with the last draft. All these wide receivers in the same tier, and I have no idea who to go with. We'll take Olave. He has an ADP that's a little bit deeper. If A.J. Brown's going at the 1-2 turn, Olave is typically going mid-round 2. I'm not expecting a ton of Brown-Olave combos. It's going to change a ton in Best Ball Mania, so I don't necessarily think it matters too much. And, oh, dear God, we're on the clock in the other one. Oh, God dang it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, because we were talking about my leg rash, we auto-drafted a tight end in the other one, and we wasted $25 in that Best Ball Mania entry. That is great. That is great. Okay. Russ says, AJ Laporta, Kelce, Mahomes, then receiver. Would be unique, my friend. Would be very unique. Boomer Sooner says, haven't dropped in a while, sir. Much love, my friend. Let me know if you're excited to be in the SEC. I'm excited UT gets to play A&M. Because up until this point, at least whenever I was at UT, OU was our only real rival. For football, that is. I wasn't really into baseball, basketball. Maybe we had a different rival for that. I don't know. But, like, nobody cared about anything else. I know, like, if you go to Texas A&M, I had a ton of friends who went to Texas A&M. Same thing at Tech. They just talk about UT, horns down, yada, yada, yada. At UT, nobody cared about those schools at all. It was all OU, but it should be exciting now that we get to play A&M again. John asking if Underdog does Superflex drafts. Yes, sir. They've had Superflex tournaments every offseason. I don't think there are any live right now. And I can't guarantee with 100% certainty there will be Superflex drafts this offseason, but I would say 99.999% sure that there will be. Vadim says, last year we got picks of Bijan and boast of winning $150,000. This year, rashes and $0. Yes, this year you get to see my rashes and hear me cry about not drafting Puka Kyron. I have been biking with the fan, my friend. I have been. Okay. Metcalf goes 30. Y'all know I'm not really drafting Metcalf, so I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. Malik Neighbors goes 31. So it looks like Neighbors is falling. Typically, it's kind of what you're going to see with these guys who are rookies when we get further away from the NFL draft. We're going to go to Devonta Smith, 33, pair him up with A.J. Brown. Obviously, we're going to be looking for the Jalen Hurts double stack on the way back around. If we whiff on the Jalen Hurts double stack, am I going to sit here and cry? Yes, I will. But also, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe we won either the $100,000 big dog 2 years ago with an A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith double stack that was unstacked. I believe we went A.J. Brown at the 2-3 turn, then Devonta Smith at the 6-7 turn. Did not get Jalen Hurts on that team. Still took down the tournament. Best Ball Mania would be much tougher to do that with. And yeah, Jalen Hurts goes 34. Obviously not ideal. I would have preferred getting Jalen Hurts here, but it is what it is. Can't do anything about it. Lowe says, what's the argument for Olave over Ayuk? Find myself going Ayuk most of the time. Most of the time, most people are going Ayuk. You should see more A.J. Brown Ayuk combos in the overall tournament. And ultimately, I think that they're in the same tier. If you want to make an argument of ranking Ayuk over Olave, not going to fault you at all for doing so. And hell, if I just made my own rankings, maybe I do the same thing. But I think no matter how I cut it, they're about the same for me. They're in the same tier. So I'm going to go with the player that I think is going to be at a lower combo for the tournament. We're going to go ahead. We will take Travis Kelce here at pick 40, especially when we go with receiver through the first 3 rounds. I mean, it does give us a lot of flexibility here where we can look to go with an elite tight end and an elite quarterback. So going Kelce 40 is nice. I mean, obviously it'd be beautiful if we got Mahomes on the way back around at 57. Do I expect that to happen? Hell no. If it does, good problem to have. And yeah, overall, am I super excited about the team? I would have been if we got Jalen Hurts, but it's a team at 9. What are we expecting? Now, Boomer Suitor says, bro, I'm nervous and excited, but at this point, bring the SEC on. SEC won't knock Texas or OU around like they think. Let's get it, baby. I'm excited, my friend. I'm excited. And I do wonder if, the OU-Texas rivalry should still be as strong as ever, but we'll see. I need to find the time. I haven't been to a Texas game, and I live in Austin, but just because I'm working like 80 hours a week during the season, I have not had the time to go to a UT game since, I want to say, 2019, which is really sad to say. But this year, years past, we're streaming every single day for 200 days in a row. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it again. this year I may give myself a break and we may go to a UT game. Okay, so the Allen team at 28, I actually like taking Allen here at the beginning of the third and mixing it up. Not too many other teams are going to do so, and you do get the option of taking Dalton Kincaid there at the 4 or 5 turn as well. So, yeah, it's not going to be something you see very often, but I think it's a high upside play. And if you can have a unique high upside play, I mean, might as well go for it. JRV says, sorry, took Hurts from you. All the receivers I wanted were gone. Well, my friend, you are not forgiven. How dare you? JRV. Just when we were looking for another mod, too. But Raphael just got here from Grandma's 89th birthday. Dear God. Tell Grandma I said what's up. I mean, when I say tell her I said what's up, I mean tell her I said what's up. She'll know what I mean. Okay. So let's move this around. CJ Stroud not really in play for us, right? Stroud's not going to be someone with a ton of rushing upside. We don't have any of the Houston options. We could go Richardson. Never mind. We can't go Richardson. We'll go ahead. We'll take McLaurin. We can be looking at Jaden Daniels later on. Jaden Daniels will give us some rushing upside and spike week potential. Yeah, so y'all know I'm not a McLaurin guy. I'd rather have Rachaad White in a vacuum. But the thing is, I think we're going to get a running back that we like on the way back around regardless. And I do want to set ourselves up, primarily at this point of the draft, with the situation in which we can go ahead and we can find a quarterback with upside, so we are not having to take Bryce Young for whatever happens. I'm not having another Bryce Young team. It's not happening. Okay. Let's move this over. Let's go. Jake says, third year watching it, go to a UT game, bro. This year, like I said, I have a vacation planned in like 2 weeks. 3 weeks now. No, I think the Ironman's in 3 weeks. So we probably fly out in like 2 weeks. We fly out on the 9th. We're going to France. So I am not committing to live streaming every single day like we've done in the past. So I may end up going to a UT game this year. We'll see. I guess back-to-back Joe Mixon teams here. Joe Mixon going round 6. It is what it is. Like we said in the last draft, good offense, a running back that in the past we've seen play on all 3 downs. Do I know if he's going to be able to do that this year? Nope, I don't. But Devin Singletary gave us some points last year. I will say I drafted an embarrassing amount of Devin Singletary last year. It worked out, but barely, and we got so lucky for it to work out as well. I mean, everything had to go just right. We drafted an embarrassing amount of Devin Singletary. Singletary was just kind of okay for where he was drafted. And if you think about how lucky we got with that pick, CJ Stroud turned out to be arguably the best rookie quarterback we've seen in the past 20 years. Dameon Pierce turned out to be a certified bum. And it's not like Devin Singletary ended up smashing like Kyron Williams. It's like you just kind of turned out to be okay. But, I mean, Mixon doesn't have a lot of competition in Houston, so it is what it is. Obviously, I'll know I have a lot more Kenneth Walker in round 6, and I'll continue to draft a ton of Kenneth Walker. But if we're going to get the rare opportunity to take Mixon, we'll mix him in. Brian says, there were some wild late round weeks when Bryce Young advanced a handful of teams. We'll see. I mean, based off the amount of Carolina Panthers we drafted this year, your boy's pretty much a de facto Bryce Young fanboy, but no, UT Austin, University of Texas. Yeah, I've gotten the 101. It's happened. Does it happen often? No. Underdog prefers to give us the 109 instead. but it is what it is. Kyler goes 74. Burrow's not going to be really in play for us here. Looks like Aaron Jones is falling some compared to where his ADP previously was, which is good for me because I think maybe we have one team with Aaron Jones. I haven't drafted Aaron Jones at all. Ramondre goes 76. Hopefully we see Burrow go. The Chase team passed on Burrow, right? Yeah, they had the Josh Allen double stack with Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, so it makes sense for them to pass on Burrow. Which team took Higgins? The Higgins team passed on Burrow as well, no? Where did Higgins go? Oh, Higgins is after us. Evan Ingram goes 79, so I'd imagine JRV decides to go Burrow to pair up with Higgins immediately after. Burrow doesn't make sense for us. We don't have Chase. We don't have Higgins. Burrow doesn't have the rushing upside for us to justify it. We'll make sense Zamir White. It's embarrassing. I don't know what to do. We'll mix in Zamir. Should see Burrow go immediately after. Dear God, what's going on here? Oh my gosh. Pick 9 every step of the way is such a pain. It's so gross. Swift goes 83. Sam says Brian Thomas Jr. or JSN. From a dynasty perspective, definitely going to be Brian Thomas Jr. From a redraft perspective, I wouldn't fault you at all if you wanted to go JSN. Craig says it's... Let me look that up, my friend. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Your Ticaria. That is exactly what it is, my friend. This is what it looks like. We're going to go ahead. We will take Rashee Rice, pair him up with Kelce. Okay, let's read. How do I stop getting this? Thank you, my friend. Let's hide this, and y'all can watch what happens in this draft as I figure out how to stop this. Hives can cause swollen, itchy welts. Skin reaction that causes 6 weeks. I've never gotten this before. Why am I getting it now? Do you think it's because I took Zyrtec for the first time ever? The day that it happened? I'd never taken Zyrtec before, but I had a runny nose forever. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm getting allergies from something else. And I took Zyrtec. Then after my workouts, this showed up. But it's saying antihistamines are the cure to it. Isn't Zyrtec an antihistamine? Dear God. Looks like I'm just going to be a weird guy with rashes all over my legs from now on. Okay. Let's move this over. After we go Rice, you have a run on running back here. We're going to be looking most likely for Jaden Daniels on the way back around, so we can pair up Daniels with McLaurin. We just need access to a quarterback with an okay ceiling. Rock Bottom says Zyrtec would help and not cause it. Raphael says, it's God punishing you for blessing your looks too much. Yeah, God is going, this guy looks slightly above average. So let's take his hairline. Let's make him bald. And let's cover him in rashes. Thank you. And we have been a Jilla Kareem. I'll try it. It's not that bad. Okay. Let's move this over. Caleb goes 96. Obviously, we're not having to sit here and pray that we get Caleb like we did in the last draft. Sutton, 98. We're fine at wide receiver as well. I mean, Sutton's typically the receiver that I'm liking in this range, but it's not like we need a receiver here. I'd almost prefer going with an RB. Frankie says, Celtics Pacers, dog. Are they playing right now? Celtics up 3-0, right? Okay. Down by 3. The NBA wants series to go long, so imagine this game. Pacers get an extra game, get some more commercial money. Mike Williams off 103. Jaden Daniels is our top name. Lockett goes, and yes, we were going to get Jaden Daniels. We have rushing upside. Who knows if he's any good? I don't, but stepping into a pretty good situation, can run the ball a ton. We took Terry McLaurin, so whenever we drop McLaurin in round 5, if this team's going to be good enough to win $1.5 million, Jaden Daniels probably has to be pretty good. So we'll double down on that. We'll take Jaden Daniels here 105, and yeah, at least we have access to a decent. Don't act like it's a great, but a decent ceiling now at quarterback. Javonte 108. I would love to get Javonte the way back around. We can take Ryan Robinson, Austin Eckler, and kind of go all in on Washington here. If we're going Daniels, I'd probably prefer the pass-catching running back in the backfield. Given the fact I'm not expecting a massive spike week from Jaden Daniels and Brian Robinson Jr. at the same time, because the hope that you have with Robinson is he's the goal line back in Washington. He's getting the rushing touchdowns. And if we have Jaden Daniels, obviously, if we're seeing the spike week, it kind of has to be through the air, which would be the check down option with Eckler. Brian Robinson goes before us, so we don't even have the option anyway. Brock Purdy's not really in play based off who we've drafted so far. So I think we are going to go Austin Eckler and build this team around Washington. Well, I mean, we have a couple options that we built this team around. We have Philly, of course, with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. We have Washington with McLaurin, Daniels, Eckler. We have Kansas City with Kelce and Rashee Rice. Okay, so let's swing this back around. I don't hate this team. For it being at 9, if we're going to compare it to some of the atrocious teams that we've taken at 9 previously, it's not that bad. Okay. Caleb, I'm sorry to have missed it, my friend. Sorry to have missed it. I'm definitely going to watch a YouTube video on this after the live stream, though. Okay. Shaheed, you could have possibly made an argument to pair him up with Olave and go Derek Carr at the very end. But, yeah. I'm going to go through and repeat what Russell says. Carr is such trash, man. I agreed. Not going to argue against that one, my friend. Okay, Schultz off 118. Spears goes 119. Move this around. Tua is just such a tough quarterback to take on any team that's not a Tyreek or Waddle team. Like any spike week that you get from Tua is going to have to be through the air with no rushing upside. You can say the same thing with Goff. You can say the same thing with Herbert, but the difference between like Tua, Goff, and Herbert is if you take Herbert, you still have some of his stacking options later on, whereas the stacking options for Tua go before Tua does. Chase Brown off the board. This is a team where we're most likely going to go 6 RBs. Most likely only going to go 2 tight ends when we have Kelce here as well. see, Brandon Cooks, Blake Corum. Joshua Palmer goes 124. I mean, I would kind of like to go quarterback here. That way we can lock in a 2 QB build. If we wait too much longer on quarterback, I don't know how excited we are about it. But let's look after us. Okay, so if we want to go with the 2 QB build, we kind of have to be looking at quarterbacks soon. Because the teams after us, JRV has 2 quarterbacks here with Hurts and Burrow. But then this team has 0, this team has 0. So potentially we could see 4 quarterbacks go immediately after, which isn't what we're expecting, but anything is possible here, of course. Lawrence goes, Judy goes. I think we're going to take Justin Herbert and just be done with 2 QBs. Let's go Herbert. Would be looking at some Chargers later on. You have a bunch of different Chargers options, though, which is why we're kind of fine with it. And then once we take Herbert, we are done at quarterback. We are running back, wide receiver, tight ends. And we are not going to look to take any of the Chargers anytime soon. We'd be looking to take Quentin Johnson around 13 at the earliest, if he does make it to us. Okay, let's move this over. JRV goes. Jerome Ford, 80 Mitchell, finally off the board, 131. That may have been the team that took Anthony Richardson. No, Anthony Richardson went on the other side of us. So it's very interesting to see the team that had Anthony Richardson decided to pass on 80 Mitchell in favor of Jerry Jeudy, despite Mitchell having the significantly higher ADP. Okay, Kirk Cousins off 133. Good for us to see as many quarterbacks to go as possible, right? It would have been really nice if we just had Lawrence fall like 2 more picks, and we could have gone Lawrence and then Gabe Davis on the way back around. Cole Kmet goes 134. No harm, no foul for us. I'm not really going to be looking at Dontavian Wicks. Here in this range, it would have been Zeke or Gabe Davis for us. Zeke's the guy that falls. We need another running back. And what's really nice about taking Zeke here is if we're looking at a team chemistry perspective, all of our running backs outside of Zamir White, but even Zamir White, but the vast majority of our running backs now are senior citizens. So if we're looking at what we're going to be doing for locker room chemistry, if we're looking at the music that we're playing, if we are looking at the food that we are eating, I mean, it's super simple, right? We get to play some Beethoven in the locker room. We get to hand out Jell-O cups, pudding cups. And really, we don't have to be concerned about like 2 different generations going at it. We have Zeke, we have Mixon, we have Eckler. We have all these super, super old guys. And they can kind of reminisce. Maybe they can apply icy hot to each other and just try to keep their legs pieced together with bubble gum and tape so they can get through a season. But George says, what do we think of the team? I'm team 5. Okay, my friend, as long as your running backs don't have an average age of 36, you should be good. But let's check this out. We got St. Brown, Debo, Laporta through the first 3, and ET. I love that team through the first 4 rounds. Personally, I'm not a big Jaden Reed guy where you took him at 53. I think I would maybe have potentially gone with the bully tight end strategy, going Andrews over Reed. I think Andrews can outscore Reed straight up. But that's just a personal preference thing on my end. Jordan Addison, 68 I love. Christian Watson, 77. It's very interesting to see that selection. I'm assuming we go Jordan Love here, which we do at 101. Yeah, a couple different things. I probably wouldn't have gone. I mean, actually, no, it does make sense if that was your plan to go for the Green Bay stack. I mean, you do have that complete Green Bay onslaught. So I mean, I like the team with what it did in the early rounds, and obviously we've kind of called our shot and we went in on an offense that we think has upside. Okay. Frank says, Mason trying to justify drafting old players after showing declining statistics every offseason. Yeah, every offseason I go, yeah, don't draft old guys, especially the running back position. Look at the historical data. They're bums. And then later that night, hey, watch me draft this old guy. Okay, so Ty Chandler off the board 149. Torsten asking if we can go Burrow unstacked with Chase, Higgins, and then look for stacks later on. I mean, you will see me mix that in, my friend, and we have done that in the past. The thing is, whenever we decide to make that play, I typically want Burrow well behind ADP if we're going to roll the dice, because you're not going to get your stacks a lot of the times. We're going to go Ben Sinnott. I mean, we're all in on Washington. We have their wide receiver, we have their running back, we have their tight end, we have their quarterback. For this team, what we need, it's at least better than having to rely on Bryce Young, right? Not going to sit here and act like it's great, but it could be worse. We need a Mr. Jaden Daniels to come out here and be good. That's all I ask, my friend. That's all I ask. And we're probably done drafting tight end too when we have Kelce and Ben Sinnott where we took him. And we're done drafting quarterback when we have Daniels and Herbert. So it's most likely going to be a team where we go 2-6-8-2. Stafford 155. Germaine, Rodgers. Gibson 158. What are we doing here? What are we doing? The Chargers guys aren't in play for us at this point. Franklin, I'm not taking. We can't take a tight ends. Adam Thielen, we have way too much of. Am I taking Ray Davis or Malachi Corley? I'm going to take Ray Davis. And just go, okay, well, we need some touchdown upside. You get it in Buffalo. You have the handcuff appeal in case anything happens to James Cook. Then all of a sudden, Ray Davis may be able to expand his workload. So we'll go ahead. We'll take him. See what happens. And now we just need one more RB. Rafael asking, what do we think the next tournament will be? I have no idea, my friend, to be honest with you. What tournaments are out right now? You have the $500 tournament, the $1,000 tournament. And Best Ball Mania. And I believe the Eliminator and Weekly Winners. I don't like how if you hit the NFL tab for the drafts on Underdog, you don't see Weekly Winners in the Eliminator. You only see it if you're on the homepage. Isaiah says, if you were to prioritize quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, would you ever consider doing a 2-7-7-2 build? I think that there are instances in which it makes sense to take 7 running backs. It's never my plan going into the draft. And we actually made an entire video talking about in-depth running back draft strategy, which we're going to drop tomorrow morning. And yeah, we'll talk about where it potentially makes sense to go ahead and pull the trigger on the 7th RB. Okay. The issue with taking potentially Dobbins, right, is we go Dobbins. It's not like this is a running back that has a lot of receiving equity in this backfield. It's also, I mean, we covered this in a video a while ago. I mean, you have seen Dobbins fall in these drafts a considerable amount, but it's also someone that has like $50,000 guaranteed on his contract. Rafael says, I always do 3-5-7-3. My friend, I would definitely mix in some 2 QB builds. So Baker goes 171. I mean, I was exclusively going 3 quarterback builds before the NFL draft when we were in the 20 round underdog draft phase, but in these 18 rounders, I definitely think you have to, especially large field tournaments like a puppy tournament or Best Ball Mania, I think you have to mix in some 2 QB builds. We actually made the video and we put it on Flock Fantasy. I'm talking quarterback strategy on Underdog, and I believe we made it for YouTube members as well. And when we're talking about numbers, it's like quarterbacks you draft, running backs you draft, wide receivers you draft, and tight ends you draft. So Isaac's saying I like 2 quarterbacks on my team, 5 running backs, 8 receivers, 3 tight ends, and then 2 quarterbacks, 6 running backs, 7 receivers, 3 tight ends. I think, yeah, those are going to be the most popular structures. And typically what we've seen on Underdog is the most popular and the most boring structures are typically the ones that you want to be drafting. At least those are the ones that have had success. Okay. Now, I'm going to take Dobbins and pretend that he correlates with Justin Herbert. And then now we can no longer do anything but draft wide receivers, ladies and gentlemen. And obviously we are going to be looking at DJ Chark in round 17, round 18. I don't necessarily know if we're going to be taking DJ Chark round 16 just because we're pretty much guaranteed to get him around 17. And we're going to have to take 3 receivers regardless. I mean, this is going to have to be an 8 receiver team. We're sitting with A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, Devonta Smith, Terry McLaurin, Rashee Rice so far. And then tight end, we have Kelce, Ben Sinnott. Running back, we have Mixon, Samir, Eckler, Zeke, Ray Davis, J.K. Dobbins. Franklin goes 179. Maybe we should. It's just the thing is behind us, you have a couple 4 running back builds. So, I mean, you could have easily seen them gone Dobbins. And I want to at least get some Chargers in here. I think you could have made the argument to go Franklin, though. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Demario Douglas. I'm not a fan of Javon Baker. I'll take a decent amount of Zay Jones in this range, specifically on teams where we have Kyler. But if we don't have Kyler, I'd rather just take Demario. But let me show off this team. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to take 2 more receivers to end off this draft. One of them being DJ Chark. The other one, I don't necessarily know who, but I'm sure y'all have seen this dog walking around in the background wanting to go on a walk. So we're probably going to cut this here, but appreciate you. Thank you so much for sticking with me all night. I mean, I really hope you had a great Memorial Day. And yeah, thank you so much for everything. I mean, it's just freaking crazy that you're willing to hang out with me every single day. And thank you for being willing to look at my rashes. And of course, if you want to get in a draft with us, I mean, it's Underdog Fantasy. We're drafting here every single night. Find that link in the description, comment section, live chat, code FLOCK. Going to get you hooked up with a 50% deposit bonus up to $250 on a new account, plus a special pick'em, plus code FLOCK will get your 2024 fantasy football rankings available in damn near every state, even available in Michigan now. So we need to update this map. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day, and really hope you get to see out with the live stream tomorrow night.